Right, so here we are the next morning, and I haven't touched this hide yet. Okay, so check out these white spots here, and this isn't actually that bad because it wasn't crammed in there super tight, but you can see kind of what's happening, which in these white areas is not much. Not much is happening. The liquor is either touching the hide everywhere and acting on it everywhere, or it's not. And if you just wad stuff up and leave it for weeks at a time, some of the areas are just not going to be affected. So this will vary depending on which kind of liquor the thing's in, what's going on, all kinds of stuff. So some stuff will need to be stirred frequently, like especially when you first put a hide in like this into a tanning solution. It really needs to be moved around frequently, preferably like every hour or two for the first day or two, until it kind of starts to get settled in. And then you can do it less frequently after that. But the main point is that, yeah, if you just stuff stuff in solutions and leave it, especially in a small container, not much is going to happen. What helps is to use something a little bit bigger. So in this case, this tub, which is probably about, I don't know, 15 gallons or so, is going to give the hide a lot more room to kind of swim around in there than a bucket will. And that's definitely good. If you had a really small skin and you were on top of it, you could certainly tan it in a bucket, but typically you're going to be better off doing most of your tanning of medium-sized skins in these kind of tubs, which, by the way, don't buy this Rubbermaid brand because they're garbage. This is an old one. This thing is years old and it still holds up. The new ones, they're just complete garbage and they won't last at all. So yeah, that's basically the essence of it. This is one of the most common mistakes people make, is just stuffing things in too small containers and expecting the liquors to be able to work on them. Now, you don't necessarily need something that the hide can spread out completely in, obviously, because I'm not using that, and I never do, because then you just need tons and tons of liquor. But just to have a little more room and not have it stuffed, and that also makes it easier to manage, because in this tub I can stir it around pretty easy. I can just grab a stick and stir it a little bit or pick it up and throw it around. But in a bucket it's a little bit, harder to do that. So this problem is why tanneries use tumblers that are kind of these big drums that spin with liquids in them for tanning and other processes. Also rockers that kind of just move the hides continually, pumps that keep the liquor circulating. In the old days, dudes would just, drag the hides out and then put them back, sometimes once a day, both in liming and in the tanning process. Very rarely were hides just put into anything and left there to just soak. The one major exception is in layering, where you take a skin, you put down a layer of shredded bark, like oak bark or whatever you're tanning with, then you lay out a skin flat, and you lay on another layer of bark, and then you put another skin. But see, that's completely different. What you've got there is you have, so you have an inch or more of bark in between each skin, so the liquid can move through that. And anywhere that the bark is touching the skin, well, that's just another source of tannic acid. Basically, the liquor can reach all parts of the skin, and you could lay that up and leave it for like 3 months sometimes. Rule of thumb, don't procrastinate too long. Keep it moving. Just think about it. Okay, if the liquor isn't touching the skin, then it's not doing its work. More or less as a general rule. Obviously, there's a lot of gray area in there, and you can fudge a lot, but don't fudge too much because it'll screw up your skins.